Hi friends, my name is Debbie and today we're gonna be painting this beautiful Moroccan landscape. I was in Morocco this past summer and I took this picture. I fell in love with this nice picture and I decided to paint it today. So let's jump in and get started. These are the colors that I'm gonna be using, so make sure you take a picture, get them ready. We're gonna start off by putting our water. In this case, my water has a little bit of yellow ochre, but it's okay. It's gonna add a little bit more texture to my painting. But in other cases, you wanna make sure your water is nice and clean. So we're just gonna put it, for now, we're gonna put it on the mountains. We're gonna put the water all over our mountains. Make sure it's nice and wet. We want our paint to move, and we're gonna put our yellow ochre, very light on the yellow ochre. I would say 80% water, 20% color. This is our first layer. This is gonna be lots of layers on these mountains, so we want to start really light, and then we're gonna build up the colors from there. We're gonna go to both of the mountains and the one in the center also. The one in the center, we wanna keep it light. We're gonna dry it and then we're gonna go to the center mountain. And now we're gonna use the first color, which was the alizarin crimson, indigo, and gamboge. And just adding some texture to our mountain. Try to make it light. In my case, I went a little bit darker. I should have put a little bit more water into it. But no worries, it's watercolor, so you can always do lifting. And we can remove some of the extra paint that we don't want. So we're just making, the holes and the mountains. And we're just trying to blend a little bit. And like I said, this is a lot of layers, so don't worry much about it. Here is a reference photo. So we're trying to get those nice cuts into the stones, and the mountain has a lot of cracks and things like that. So that's what we're trying to do right now. I'm adding a little bit of my sienna and gamboge. We're adding in some areas, as you see in the picture. Some areas, they have this very light kind of reddish color. And this is our sienna. So we're gonna apply this in some places. Leave some light colors in between. We want some highlights and some lowlights, some contrast. And it doesn't have to be all blended for now. You can just apply it and we will go back to it. So now I went back to my yellow ochre. It had a little bit of the leftover sienna gamboge, but it's okay. I needed that extra pop. I'm going back, trying to blend some areas. My paper is drying really quick. I think it's the light. And also here in Florida, it's pretty hot. So it depends where you are. The paper is gonna dry quicker than other areas. And also the lights that I use for filming. I'm adding some more color. Still using the sienna and the gamboge. Now I'm moving to my burnt brown and sienna. And we're making these darker marks in our mountains. And we're dropping off some paint just with the tip of your brush. Just go around these cracks or holes in your mountains. And this is gonna give us more dimension. And don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. Mountains are not perfect, so we're just trying our best. Like I always say, we have to relax, try to have a good time when we're painting, enjoy what we do, and relax. It doesn't have to be perfect. The more wiggle, the better it's gonna look. If you go straight lines, it's gonna look fake. But if you wiggle your brush, it's gonna look more natural, more organic, and more realistic. So I'm just adding some more marks in some of these areas. Right now we're going very light. Later on we're gonna build up the color and it's gonna start getting darker, and you're gonna see even more your highlights and your lowlights, and it's gonna have more contrast. So on this mountain I'm using the alizarin crimson and the indigo and the gamboge. Then I'm moving to my sienna, my burnt brown and sienna, and we're just applying this in some areas, leaving some lighter places. Now I'm adding a little bit of my burnt brown by itself, just to make some of these cracks, some of these lines inside my mountains. And you make pretty much, you decide where you're gonna put your lines. This mountain, in this case, it had too many lines and cuts between the stones, so I'm just doing few marks here and there. I'm not making it look realistic because we can't. This is a fast painting. Right now I'm gonna be using my dry brush technique. So for this one, you just go sideways, parallel to your paper, and just scrape your paper with your brush. So this is just the paint. We're not adding any water to our brush. It's just paint, and you're scraping on the paper and just putting the color on top. And it's gonna give you these beautiful marks, and it's just gonna look amazing. As you can see, it's giving us really nice texture. And now I'm moving to my sienna again, burnt brown and sienna. Some of these areas and the mountains were a little bit on the red side, so this is where I'm using the sienna to give that color to my mountains. And I'm adding some to this area. Don't worry too much about your left side because that's where the clothes was hanging, and we're gonna go back to it when everything is done and dried. We're gonna put the clothing hanging on the rope, and it's gonna look so cute. Again, I'm going back to my other layer, just applying the same colors that we have in our palette, just adding some more dimension. And you can choose which areas you want to have darker colors and which one you want to have lighter colors. In this case, my reference photo had the lighter ones to the front, so I'm applying the darker ones in the back, and that's gonna give us the idea that the road is going through the mountains. So you can see this area has to be a little bit darker, so I'm just applying the same colors. I let it dry and then go back to it, add another layer, and that's how you build up your colors and your layers. So I'm just using the same colors, the ones that we have in our palette. This one here, I feel that I needed a little bit more of the yellow ochre. Somehow the sunshine was coming through the mountains, so this area should have a little bit more yellow to give us that illusion that the sun is hitting the mountains on the top. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm applying some of that one on this side, also the sienna. Just trying to make some marks. We don't want to blend it completely because we want some texture to our mountains. So don't blend it completely. Just don't have like sharp lines. That's what we don't want. I'm adding a little bit of the burnt brown in this part. Not too much on the paint because we don't want it too dark. We're still building our layers. So we're adding just little by little. For this painting, you have to have a lot of patience because it's a lot of layers. So now I decided it was too light. So I'm adding the burnt brown by itself. And I'm just making some lines towards upwards. And this is gonna give us the idea that the cracks are going in this direction. If I'm going too fast, make sure you pause it, take a break, go and have a snack, relax a little bit. We want to make sure that you are relaxed and you're having a good time, like I am having a good time. I love to do details. That's kind of my things. Actually, to be loose is more difficult, I think. But I love to do details. The more details, the better. And I'm just trying to make a quick and easy painting landscape, an easy one. But you can add as many details as you want. It would just take longer. So that's why I'm doing very minimal. And for this part of the mountain, I'm just adding again the burnt brown, giving some definition to these cuts inside the rocks and making some more line marks, trying to bring them down. And I'm just adding some more cracks here and there. And by making those lines, let some areas get dried completely, so we can always go back and add more color, more layers, and more textures to it. For me, one of the best techniques to do mountains is dry brush, because it gives such a nice texture and they just bring them like back to life. Like they look so nice and pretty. So that's one of my favorite techniques to use, the dry brush. Also, some areas I'm gonna be putting some plants that they were growing in the mountains. And I guess I went a little bit dark on that area, so I will be adding a little bit of whitewash to make my sap green a little bit lighter. And also, if you want to bring it to the next level, you can always use watercolor pencils or crayons or any other materials that you have. It's gonna make them look really nice. There are some acrylic markers that you can use. Most of the time I use either crayons, watercolor crayons, or I use watercolor pencils. And it's just give a different texture and just make it look more natural. I'm going back to my burnt brown and sienna, just adding a little bit more color to this part of the mountain. And this painting is very easy, very simple. You just keep using the same colors over and over, letting them dry, and then go back to it, add some more texture, more lines, and some more color. So please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I will really appreciate it. Make sure you have the notification on, so every time I put a video, you will be notified and you don't miss it. Make sure you give it a like so other people can watch this video and learn something from it. I hope you're learning something from this, new techniques or new colors or new style, whatever the case may be. So I would really appreciate that. I'm putting the plants that were growing on this part of the mountain, and this is just sap green. Then I added the sap green with a little bit of indigo to give a little bit more darker color. And then with my wash, I mixed the sap green and the white wash, and I'm gonna be adding a little bit more lighter colors to my mountain. And then at the end, I decided to use my watercolor pencils just to give more texture to my mountains. And this is just the tip of the brush. You just tap, and it's making some marks, just to give us the idea that is some plants growing in this area. As you can see in the reference photo, there's just few areas where the plants are growing. And you can add as many plants as you want or as little as you want. Or if you don't want plants at all, this is your painting, you're in control, so you don't have to put the plants if you don't want to. I'm just going back to my center mountain, adding a little bit more of my sienna, just to give a little bit more detail to this mountain. This one has to stay very light because this one is in the background, so we don't want it to be like the center of the attention, even though she's in the center. But we don't want her to steal the attention from the front mountains. We want to make sure she stays in the back. I'm adding some line marks here on my edge, just a little bit of burnt brown, just to make it pop towards where we are. And make sure the other one is gonna stay in the back. So that's where we're adding the burnt brown to this part. This is the road, so I'm just using the same color. And remember, starts narrow and it gets wider. When it's closer to us, it gets wider. When it's far away from us, it gets narrow. So make sure you do your road the right way. Narrow in the back, wider in the front. And we're adding the rocks. For the rocks, I'm using the same colors: the sienna, the burnt brown, yellow ochre. I'm just mixing some more paint because I ran out of it. So that's just the burnt brown, and in this case I added a little bit of Payne's gray to make it a little bit darker, but not too much. Now we're blending this part. This part is supposed to have the shadow from the rocks. So that's what I'm trying to get. Some blending here. And this is my yellow ochre. I started darker, but then I'm gonna clean my brush, get it nice and clean, and then I'm gonna go back to it and try to remove some of the paint. We want this area lighter, not too dark, because it's towards us. So we want to keep it nice and light. Now we're going to go back to putting the clothing. You can choose any colors that you like. In this case, I tried to be as close as possible to a reference photo, but you can put any colors you like. I'm just putting whatever colors I think that they're going to pop and they're going to look nice. So I'm using my reds, my yellows, pink. I use the blue, and I believe I use green also. And this is a simple step, just filling in and the areas that we're supposed to have some clothing hanging. Then after we let it dry, we will go back to the colors. We're gonna apply the colors in the whatever white areas are in between your clothing, so there's no white spaces behind your clothes, because behind your clothes you're supposed to have the background. So make sure you let the clothes dry completely before you go back and apply any other color. And then with the rope, I decided to use my marker, a black marker, and it would be easier for me than using my brush. And you just go on top and make a line looking like a rope. And then you can put 2 poles, one on each side, so the poles hanging in the clothing hanging on the ropes. I'm having such a good time with this painting because I was in this location and it was so pretty, and there was a river on the right hand side and people were having a picnic, some people were swimming, there was a lot of donkeys, and there was these guys on the left selling clothing. They had like souvenirs, clothing. It was a really nice experience, and the mountains were really, really tall, and it was just amazing to see how people live in other places. It was cute. So I'm almost done with my clothing. Almost there. So as you can see, now I'm filling in any white spaces in between my clothing. Like I said, you don't want any white spaces. You want to make sure everything is filled in because that's your background. Just a little bit blending. Now I'm using the marker to make the lines and the pole. And you can also design your clothing. In this case, I decided to keep it nice and simple. Just the sleeves and the V-neck. But you can add dots, you can add markers, you can add anything to it, and you can make any design of your clothing. You can add dots, whatever, stripes, anything you want to make this shirts pop even more. Me, I like it simple. They're in the background, so I don't want not too much attention to this. So for the sand, it's good always to do some splatter. In this case, I'm using just the sienna, and then I went back to my burnt brown and sienna just to give a little bit more texture to my road and to my sand where the little stones were, the rocks. So just adding more texture. Just get your paint on your brush and hit it with another brush, and that's gonna be beautiful texture. Just little tiny dots here and there is gonna give the extra to your road. And then I said, let's put a little bit of this splatter on the rocks. So that's what I did. It will give me more texture and more, I don't know, it's just make it look so much better. To me, any splatter that I can get is just amazing. A little bit more dry brush in some areas for more texture. I love this technique. It's just my favorite thing to do. It just makes everything look so much nicer. And it's the easiest way to get your texture. And you don't have to do the whole mountain, just few places here and there. Just pick where you want more texture. Remember to keep some areas with light colors because that's where the sun was hidden. So don't cover those, just keep it nice and light. So then I got my sky wet, just with clean water, and then I'm adding my blue, very light on the color. I would say maybe 80% water, 20% color, very light. We're keeping some areas white because we want to show that there's some clouds. So do not cover everything. If you do, you can always get a piece of paper, a napkin, or tissue and wrinkle it like I'm doing right now and lift up some of the paint. And just twist, twist, twist. Go around twisting. Don't keep it straight because the twisting is going to give you this nice fluffy clouds. It's going to look beautiful. And just bring this water down because we have to fill in this white space. And I'm just applying the yellow ochre and very light on the yellow ochre, not too much paint. And pretty much I'm doing the final details. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. You learned something from it. And don't forget to give it a like so other people can watch these videos. And I guess pretty much this is it. Just adding some more color, a little bit of the sienna. Very light, not too much paint. We want to keep it light to give the illusion that the mountain continues towards the end of the paper. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on my next video. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.